You've found Find Your Flock, Season 2. I'm Dr. Sandra Clavijo. Join me as we hear how students turn curiosity into careers that make an impact. Today's guest is a current AMP student and recent graduate from our chemistry and chemical biology department. Please welcome Matthew. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what you studied at Stevens?
Yeah, sure. I'm from a small town in North Jersey called Kinnelon. Very, very small population. I graduated with maybe 100 students in my class. After going to high school there, I came to Stevens. It was nice because it was close to home and it was a good school. I studied chemical biology there. During my time there, I went and I did some research in a chemistry lab under Dr. Abhishek Sharma. I had a great time with that. I decided to continue and do the AMP program, so now I'm doing my master's in chemistry.
Amazing. What first drew you to the chemical biology program at Stevens? So was it like a course or a moment? Like, tell us how you got interested in chemical biology.
It was really hard choosing any sort of major at first because I was really drawn to STEM as a whole. So I just sort of had to take a step back and look at it and think like, what major would have the most topics for me to pursue that I would be interested in? And I thought chemical biology would be great. And I'm very happy with that decision because I learned a lot of really cool stuff and a lot of really useful stuff.
Did you have a favorite class or professor during that program?
It's very hard to say. They were all amazing, amazing professors. I made a lot of, very strong relationships with a lot of them. I will say one that stood out was CH660, Advanced Instrumental Analysis. The professors were two retired Merck veterans. They had been there, I think, for over 50 plus years combined. They have tons of chemistry experience under their belts. Dr. Shio Singh and Dr. Gary Martin, they are truly, it was such a treat to have them as my professor because you're learning directly from people who have used this in their careers for the past 25 plus years.
Excellent. So I know you participated in one of our NEAT clinical internships. Do you want to tell us a little bit about where was it at Montefiore Einstein?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it was at Montefiore Einstein, yes.
yeah, can we hear a
So,
little bit about that?
yeah, absolutely. So the whole thing was 4 weeks. It was three different, I guess you can call them stations. I mean, the whole thing was sort of meant to be similar to one rotation in like for the clerkship phase of medical school. So I did about a week and 2 days of gynecology, a week and 2 days of outpatient care, so like in a clinic, and then about a week and a day of on the labor and delivery floor.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So I mean, is that influencing your career at in any part? Or I mean, I think you had some other research experiences too. I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about your research with Dr. Sharma, and kind of figure out how this is all coming together for what's next for you.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely did influence my career choices. I would say that um, it's important that every prospective medical student at least tries it to make sure that they know it's what they want to do, and that before they actually try it, they don't understand, because the idea of being a doctor is very different from actually being a doctor. So I would say that being in there and seeing more of what they do on a day-to-day basis really did impact me and actually made me want to do it even more. So that was great. And then yeah, my work with Dr. Sharma, I was doing very well in organic chemistry. I really liked it. I really liked the courses. I liked the content, and I just found that I wanted to do a bit more. So I just reached out to him. I emailed him. I asked him if there were any times I could come in. He said sure, and then it just sort of took off from there. A lot of organic chemistry research, organoboron research. So that's organic molecules with boron, which is one of the element number five in its structure. So some new stuff, newer relatively, like if you're looking at the broad history of chemistry, newer as in the past 5 decades, which is a long amount of time, but for chemistry it's new. And then Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate with that. I was published on one of the papers, which I'm very happy that I was published on that. It was in Organic Letters, and it was a lot of very prestigious journal. It was a lot of hard work, but I'm very happy we got there in the end.
That's amazing. So when you were going through your undergrad, were you in our pre-health program at all? And was that helpful for you?
So I am a bit of a non-traditional student because I did not do any of the pre-health programs. I basically didn't. Um, for a long time, I knew that the path that I was on, which was just a pure chemistry PhD path, was not exactly what I wanted to do. But sort of the idea of committing to medicine, which I felt was such a stark difference to what I had been already doing, it was just a lot for me. So I really had a hard time fully committing myself to that path. So I didn't do a lot of pre-med activities until my senior year. Because that's when I decided, because that was the point where it was either I go for it and I do it now, or I delay it another year. So I didn't do a lot of the pre-health things, but I am in the pre-health. I've been working with the pre-health advisory committee. They've been absolutely great on helping me with my application. A lot of the essays, they helped me. I have an interview with them coming up, a mock interview that's going to be very helpful. So no, nothing particular, but I am getting involved with it now.
I mean, I think that's amazing. I mean, to decide senior year you want to go to med school and feel supported is great. Not everybody knows when they're 15 that they want to go to med school or,
No,
so like there's time, through your careers to kind of figure that out. So that must be a load off for a bunch of our listeners listening. You can just take some classes that you like and there'll still be time. So I guess you are applying to where are you applying and for what programs are we applying for MD or PhD, or are you doing a double? What is
we're
happening?
doing a double. Yeah, so they're called MD. They're called MD PhD programs. So they're about 8 years. You do typically the way it's done is you do your first 2 years of medical school, which is called your pre-clerkship. That's basically just learning anatomy, learning organ systems, learning how the body itself works. And then you do your graduate studies, which is about 4 years. And then after that, you do your final 2 years of medical school, which is really teaching you about how to be a doctor in a hospital setting. So a lot of very common things you're going to learn about there. You're going to be sitting in on a lot of procedures, a lot of surgical procedures. You're going to be going through and looking at a lot of different subspecialties. And then you do all that after you do your graduate program. I apply to a lot of schools. The thing with MD PhD is that if the size of the class of the cohort really depends on the school. It's anywhere between 5 to 15 students per school. Normally most schools are going to take on average about 8. So if I apply to 10 medical schools, that might be a total of anywhere between 1,000 or 1,500 slots. If I apply to 10 MD PhD programs, I might only be applying for 50 slots. So it's very, very competitive and it's very hard to get into. So I actually ended up applying to over 20 programs. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Um, and then, yeah, I do have an interview coming up for that with Texas A&M's MD PhD program. Very much looking forward to that. That's going to be in 2 weeks, early November.
That sounds amazing. Um, good luck at your interview and take advantage of all the mock interviews that you can. Sarah is amazing. And I guess, I'd like to maybe just, see what advice would you give to students that are interested in combining research and medicine and, kind of going through Stevens, like how should they take advantage of, some of the things that we offer?
So combining research with medicine, I think, is a very slippery slope because you might end up on the MD PhD route. And it's a lot of work and it's a very long time to do it. But if it's, you only do it if it's what you're absolutely sure you're going to love to do, and if it's really the only way you're going to be satisfied with your career. So I would say that be certain of the type of research you want to do because MDs, oh, sorry about that. MDs themselves do research. They just do different kinds of research. So MDs are going to be the people confirming, they do more like on the clinical side of things. So whether or not something is safe, whether or not something is effective, whether or not there's, data to show that something works or something, is not worth giving to patients. Whereas MD does a whole, it's a whole different side of research. It's not really in clinic. You do it more in a lab setting, and then you can try and apply that there. As far as taking advantage of the resources, I would say, as soon as you're interested in um, health, I would immediately join the pre-health advisory program. It's not just for people who are committed to it. It's, anyone who is interested in it can go. They have a lot of talks. They have a lot of great opportunities for networking. I would try to get involved with that as much as you can.
That is amazing. And finally, I want your best pitch for why someone should consider chemical biology or chemistry at Stevens.
Chemical biology or chemistry. Yeah, so they're pretty similar for most of it. They're pretty similar up until the junior year. And what I would say is this. Um, where I'm at now, trying to do more of the biological side of research, I'm very fortunate to have had the education that I did, which was both in biology and chemistry, because it's very hard to understand a lot of the fundamentals of biology without a very fundamental understanding of chemistry. So I'd say if you are interested in medicine, if you're interested in biology, if you're interested in chemistry, chemical biology is a great way to go. I think that you learn a lot. I think it gives you a lot of interesting perspectives on many of the fundamentals of physical sciences, and it really sets you up to pursue a pretty broad range of career paths. I think that it's very open in what it sets you up for after graduation.
Well, excellent. Well, I wish you the best of luck through your interview season. And I think you're still finishing up AMP, so you have a couple of courses remaining.
Yes. Yeah.
So we look forward to following your career and checking back in with you. I think that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank Matthew for sharing his journey with us today and for joining me on Find Your Flock. Until next time, let's keep discovering, designing, and we'll find your flock here at Stevens. You've been listening to Find Your Flock, Season 2. I'm Dr. Sandra Clavijo. Thanks for joining us as we help future ducks find their path at Stevens. Don't forget to follow and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, and share this episode with a future duck.